up, Yugi Bros? Welcome to another Duel video. Today we have Skull Servants versus Magnets. Magnets with a twist, I might add, and the Skull Servant deck's 30 cards. So they're going to kick things off here with Servants of the Fallen King. This card says once per turn you send a level 3 or lower zombie, normal monster from your deck to the graveyard. The reason this deck is playing this card is because you dump Skull Servant. For King of the Skull Servants, who gets 1,000 attack per Skull Servant and King in your grave times 1,000, it kind of just fuels the grave really fast. New card in this deck, Creature Swap. This lets you swap any monster you control with a monster your opponent controls. Your opponent gets to choose their card. But this is really good, putting things like King on their field, who on their board will go to 0 attack, and you get a monster of their choice. It's just free extra damage and a way to disrupt their cards. They're going to play Archfiend's Oath here, and they're going to pay the 500 life points. Normally they're playing this with a card advance, which is another card I'll touch on in a second in this deck. But in this case they didn't open the card advance, so they're just going to YOLO the 500 and choose a random card. Usually you choose something that you hope will work. In this case they declared Goblin Zombie, and then go figure they actually hit the Goblin Zombie. So that works out for them. It ends up being a free draw for 500 life points. Then they set Mysterious Monster, that's probably Goblin Zombie, and they pass to us. Now we are playing Magnets with a bit of a twist here. We are only playing Delta and Beta. Gamma and Alpha, in my opinion, are really, really bad. If we had the Electromagnetic Warriors, which obviously we won't get right away, it would make this deck a little bit more top tier, but because we don't, I just feel like Valkyrion is so terrible. Like, the card is overrated. You're only going to get it out by either tributing the 3 normal magnets either from the hand or field, or using Delta's effect, which if it's sent to the grave, you banish 3 level 4 lower magnets from your grave to summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. But, like, so what? Like, and I really don't want to draw to the brick. So instead we're playing It's No Monster, It's a God, as our quote-unquote boss monster, where once per duel we can discard any number of cards from our hand, minimum 1, to add Obelisk the Tormentor from our deck grave to our hand. And the reason we do that is because we play Magnetic Field, so as long as you have an Earth level 4 lower rock monster on the field, every turn you can bring back another monster for free. And then we also play the Rock Spirit, which banishes an Earth from the grave to summon itself for free. So it's actually easy to get Tribute Summon fodder on the field. We're going to use Delta's effect to send a Beta to the grave, then we're going to use Foolish to send up Delta to the grave. That way it just kind of gives us both our options when we hit the Magnetic Field, because you have to summon something with a different name than the one you control. Now we're going to banish the Delta to summon the Rock Spirit. We're going to go into battle phase, have Delta swing over their monster. It's Goblin Zombie, who would have thought they had King, and then we have Rock Spirit swing in for 1,800. They draw into card advance, and that's the reason they're playing Oath. You look at the top 5 cards of your deck, then place them on top of your deck in any order, and then afterward you contribute summon 1 monster in addition to your normal summoner set. So this is really good with this card. You stack the 5 cards in order that you want, and then you draw one of them through this, which is really good. But the reason the extra tribute summon also is super relevant is this deck is maining Jinzo and Dark Red Enchanter as options to tribute summon with this card's effect afterward. So first off, they're going to use the skill, sending the Skull Servant to the grave. Then they'll activate the card advance. And can we see these? Oh yes, we can. Alright, so it's Skull Servant, Foolish Burial, Archfiend's Oath, Sphere Karibo, and Jinzo. So they're going to stack that to however they feel best suits their situation in this situation. They're going to then use Archfiend's Oath, pay 500 life points, declare Jinzo. Voila, they hit a Jinzo, so now Jinzo goes to hand, and they get that extra tribute summon. They're going to normal summon King of the Skull Servants, activate Creature Swap, just as I said a second ago. We're going to give them Delta. They're going to then tribute the Delta to drop Jinzo. Now, if we had Valkyrion, oh, it doesn't matter, we don't have 3 magnets. But if we did have 2 other magnets that weren't Delta, and that's the other reason I feel like it kind of sucks, because you can't banish itself. We could drop Valkyrion like that, but we're not going to do that. So they drop the Jinzo, they swing over to our Rock Spirit, but we have the Book of Moon to deal with that, so they pass to us. We draw Order to Charge, a really good card, target a non-token normal monster you control, tribute that normal monster, and if you do, destroy one monster your opponent controls. This doesn't target, so it deals with Obelisk the Tormentor, which is kind of cool. But we're also playing it because Beta is so easily reusable through just having it in our hand and also summoning it back with a field spell. And I like this card over Offerings to the Doomed because this way I won't have to skip my draw phase. We're going to switch King to defense mode. We're going to go into battle phase and have Beta swing over the Jinzo. Then we're going to have Rock Spirit swing in for what would be game, but they have the Sphere Karibo. They draw into another Sphere Karibo. They're going to use Oath because they still know what the top card of their deck is. They're going to call Foolish Burial. And they get Foolish Burial. Now they're going to use the skill, sending a regular Skull Servant. Then they're going to Foolish Burial a King of the Skull Servant. So just like that, they've already got 4 Skull Servants in the graveyard. And then they summon King of the Skull Servants at 4,000 attack points. Now this is insane. They're going to have this swing over the Beta, but we have our Order to Charge, so we'll tribute Beta, destroying King of the Skull Servants. And unfortunately, this card can't resurrect itself by a card effect. By being destroyed by a card effect, it can only resurrect itself if it's destroyed by battle. So unfortunately, that leaves them with all of nothing. However, we don't draw another monster, so we go into battle phase and swing Rock Spirit, and they have the Sphere Karibo. They draw into Goblin Zombie, they're going to summon it, swing over the Rock Spirit, and all of a sudden, we just don't have a defense. We draw into Metaverse, which does a whole lot of nothing here, so we'll just set it and pass. They draw into another card advance. They're going to use this card advance. This time they hit Creature Swap Jinzo, Offerings to the Doom, card advance, and Allure of Darkness. So they will stack how they want. They will use Oath's effect. They will get Jinzo from their top of their deck to their hand. We'll get the Jinzo, so we will activate our Metaverse before it doesn't work anymore. Getting our Magnetic Field. And they'll tribute Goblin Zombie for the Jinzo. Then Zombie's effect goes off, adding another zombie from deck to hand. Battle phase, they're going to swing into King of the Skull Servants, and they're going to pass. Now, interestingly enough, they actually could have won right there. King of the Skull Servants died by battle. They could have used its effect in Grave because it was destroyed by battle, banish one of these, summon it out at 4,000 attack points instead of 5,000, and actually just swung straight for game. So that's a little misplay on both of our parts for not realizing it. But yet, here we are. We're going to banish the Rock Spirit from the Rock Spirit. We're going to then activate Magnetic Field using its effect. This says, if you control a level 4 or lower Earth Rock monster, you can target a level 4 or lower Magnet monster in your grave, special summon it. Also, this field spell has the effect of once per turn if at the end of the damage step, while you control an Earth Rock monster that battled an opponent's monster, but that opponent's monster was not destroyed by battle, you can return that opponent's monster to the hand. So it gives this deck a little bit of defense, a little bit of staying power. We're going to use Magnetic Field's effect to bring back a Beta, then we're going to use Order to Charge to tribute the Beta to destroy the Jinzo, and then we're going to have Rock Spirit swing in for game. I don't know why we ended our turn there. Alright, so going into game 2, so it's a little unfortunate we opened the Obelisk the Tormentor. This is kind of the garnet of the deck until we actually need it. That's what the skill is for. But if this does discarded or summoned and destroyed, this can add back from the grave as well. So it's not the end of the world, but I would really prefer it not to be in our hand opening turn. They're going to start out with their skill, sending the Skull Servant to the graveyard. They're going to activate Archfiend's Oath, pay 500, declare Goblin Zombie, and unfortunately hit Creature Swap. They're going to then do it again, because they're kind of in that situation, and they mill King of the Skull Servants, and they declared Goblin Zombie once again. So they don't get their Goblin Zombie, but the upside is now there's another Skull Servant in the graveyard for future plays. However, they are forced to pass. We draw into Foolish Burial. We'll normal summon Delta, use Delta's effect sending a Beta, and we'll activate Foolish sending a Delta. Then we'll banish a Delta to summon the Rock Spirit. We'll go into battle phase and have Delta swing and Rock Spirit swing for what would be game, but they have the Sphere Karibo. They're going to draw into card advance. Now they can actually use the Archfiend's Oaths the way they want to. They're going to first use the skill to mill a Skull Servant. They're going to then banish the top 5 face down, hitting on Offerings to the Doom, card advance, King of the Skull Servant, Jinzo, and Goblin Zombie. So they'll stack those accordingly. Keep in mind, Archfiend's Oath does make you pay 500, so if your life points are low, it's sometimes a problem. They're actually going to re-change the order here again. They're gonna use Oath's effect, pay 500, declaring Jinzo, so they get that. Then they're gonna play Oath's effect once again, paying another 5, putting them at 400 life, calling King of the Skull Servants. They're gonna then normal summon King of the Skull Servants, who comes out at 3,000 attack points. They're gonna activate creature swaps, so we'll give them Delta. They're going to then tribute Delta to summon Jinzo, and they're gonna have Jinzo swing over their King of the Skull Servants for 2,400. They then remember to use King's effect this time, banishing a different king, summoning this king back, and having this king swing in to our Rock Spirit. So just like that, they OP'd our board. We draw into another Rock Spirit, which does all of almost nothing. The only upside is this becomes 2,000 attack during their turn. So we're going to force them to try to swing into it. However, they draw into Offerings to the Doomed. They'll use the skill, sending another Skull Servant, putting their king back to 3. They'll use the Offerings to the Doomed, getting rid of that off the board. And then they will smooth sailing, throw in that 3,000k to the face. So unfortunately, Obelisk makes us lose that game. Not to say that we wouldn't have lost anyway, but you know, would have been nice to not brick. The big blue brick. So we like to go first. We set Metaverse, activate Foolish Burial, sending a Delta to the graveyard. We then activate Magnetic Field, normal summon Beta, use the Magnetic Field's effect, summon back the Delta, use Delta's effect to send a Beta from the deck to the grave. And we're pretty home free. They're going to draw into Goblin Zombie, use their skill, sending the Skull Servant. Activate Card Advance. They're going to set Skull Servant, and they're going to pass turn. On the end phase, we're going to Metaverse, adding a Magnetic Field just so we don't have to draw it. We draw into Foolish Burial. We will activate Foolish, sending another Delta. We will then use Magnetic Field's effect, summoning back a Beta the Magnet Warrior. We'll then use our It's No Monster, It's a God skill, discarding Magnetic Field and adding Obelisk the Tormentor. And what better way to show off than tributing all 3 monsters for the one, the only, God card himself! Then we'll go into battle phase and swing into this massive fist of fate into a Skull Serpent, obliterating its bones and nothing more than a pile of ash left. Oh, it's glorious, actually. They're going to activate Archfiend's Oath. Well, they know what the top 4 cards are. So we're going to add Creature Swap. And if you see where this is going, you will quick and easily be able to tell this does not look good for us. Obelisk the Tormentor, summon can't be negated, cards can't be activated when he's summoned, neither player can target him for card effects. This card, however, does not target. And they're going to swap us King of the Skull Servants, who on our field has 0 attack points. So they're going to go into battle phase. And they're going to have Obelisk swing over King. And we take 4,000 to the face. To add insult to injury, if that wasn't enough, they could then banish one of these, summon this back to the field, and swing for another 1,000. But yeah. Nope. So, word of the wise, if you want to get greedy and summon Obelisk Tormentor, make sure your opponent doesn't have anything that's non-targetable, especially something like Creature Swap, where they just take your monster and then you lose the duel a lot quicker. Yeah, that. So for the Skull Servant deck, we played triple Skull Servant, triple King of the Skull Servant, triple Goblin Zombie, triple Sphere Karibo, double Jinzo, and double Dark Red Enchanter. This card we never hit, but it says if it's normal summon, it gets 2 spell counters, and then you can remove 2 spell counters once a turn to discard a random card from your opponent's hand. Also, it gains 300 for every spell counter on it. And from what I know, you can just keep putting spell counters on it. There is no max. So this card can get really big. Also, you can discard cards from your opponent's hand, which is real strong. And the reason we're not maining 3 Jinzo is because almost nobody's playing traps right now in the main deck. So we'd rather hit their hand. But we'll play this as well, just, you know, because why not? 2 Archfiend's Oath, 2 Allure of Darkness, triple Foolish Burial, triple Creature Swap, the MVP of the deck, triple Card Advance, and 1 Offerings to the Doom. Side deck, we play 2 Hammer Shot, 2 Cosmic, and 2 Widespread. I feel like with Spellproof Armor running around, this is a card you almost have to side. for that matchup, because none of your spells are going to do anything to that deck. For the Magnets of Torment, we play triple Beta the Magnet Warrior, triple Delta the Magnet Warrior, 2 Rock Spirit, 1 Obelisk the Tormentor, 3 Magnetic Field, 3 Foolish Burial, 3 Order to Charge, 2 Book of Moon, and 2 Metaverse. I opted to play 3 of this instead of 2 in an Offerings just because this card is almost always live, and even in the situations where it barely is. I mean, you could play the 1 Offerings instead, but I really don't want to skip my draw phase in this deck. You arguably could cut the Metaverses for more disruption, depending on if you want to play the 3rd book or not, and then maybe 1 other card like an Offerings. But the side deck is 2 Cosmic, 2 Lost Wind, and 2 Widespread. Again, for machines, this is for XYZs mostly. And Cosmic's not in the main just because we don't really feel like we need it. It depends. It depends on all of it. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below about these 2 decks. Yeah, I know I got greedy there, but hey, it's Obelisk the Tormentor. I mean, who doesn't want to drop that? Comment, like, and subscribe as always. Click the notification bell to get all of our latest updates, and we'll see you in the next video. Yugi Bros out.